Today you'll see a jacket that is way easier to sew than what you think. Sure, there are lots of little seams there, but they all give amazing shaping, bust cup sizes. Mine is purple and I use this amazing double knit. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today is a jacket day. If you've never considered sewing one, you might want to start thinking about it because I think it's one of the garments that is really worth your time. I do have to clarify that cost is not really the reason why I sew, but it might be for a lot of you, so I'm just mentioning it, that jackets can really be less costly to make than to buy. And then of course you have the added bonus of getting the best fit and choosing your own fabric, so I always think it's really worthwhile. This is a jacket that was released a few weeks ago at Itch to Stitch. I was not able to do that pattern test, but I was able to make it now and I'm really happy. It's called Andy's jacket. This is gorgeous. It's a jacket that if you live in cold weather, you're going to just be grabbing a lot and wearing. It's very wearable. It's also really well fitting. It's a longer jacket that'll reach your mid-thigh-ish. Straight hem at the front, sort of curved hem at the back. The hem is finished with a hem facing, which is perfect because it's really going to follow the shape there. And it's a hooded jacket. It's generally unlined. The only section of the jacket that is lined is the hood. This area of the hood is also finished with a facing, and if you want to, you can add grommets and a drawstring. Those are optional features. I'm not doing that with mine. And then you have a lot of nice curved seams, but not only are they decorative, they also have shaping incorporated there. You have princess seams that come from the shoulders, both in the front and the back, but they're not the typical ones that just go over the bust and go straight down. These curve over and finish off at the waist, sort of like a curve like that. Gorgeous. Cup sizes there, A through double D, which is awesome. And then in this seam here, you're gonna have a really fun to sew zipper pocket. I love it, it's great. I think it's a great technique that you could actually borrow from here and add on to other garments if you want to. That's why I have already got it up on the channel on a separate video so that it can be a sort of standalone technique. I know I'm going to be adding this onto other seams. It can be a vertical seam on the side. Any other seam you can add this on and it will be amazing. At the back you also have a curved seam that goes from one side to the other around your shoulder blades. They are all top stitched, edge stitched, and the sleeve is made out of two pieces. I have a curved seam as well. Beautiful. There's a dye in there. The shaping is amazing. And then you have a long zipper that starts here at the end of the hood and goes all the way down to the hem. As you might already know, we're in a little time period where a lot of brands are having Black Friday sales. It's not any different for Itch to Stitch. The Black Friday sale started last Friday the 23rd and it runs through Monday the 27th. The last two patterns that were released, the Andes that I'm going to show you now and the Islares, which is what I'm wearing now, it's a knit raglan, those are 20% off, but all the rest are 25% off. And then I'm also plugging in here other brands that I am an affiliate to that are also running Black Friday sales, in case you didn't know. Green Style has a 45% off Black Friday sale, also through tomorrow the 27th. You have to type the code BF23, Black Friday 23, and I'll leave you my affiliate link and my playlist with all my makes. Also, Pattern Emporium is running a modified Black Friday sale because it's not the whole site, it's just the tanks and the t-shirts, the essentials. So I'll leave you a link to the patterns that are 20% off, plus my affiliate link and my playlist. Also, Sinclair Patterns is having a 25% off sale site-wide. No code needed there. Wardrobe by Me is running a 30% off site-wide sale, also through tomorrow the 27th. The code there is WBM, which stands for Wardrobe by Me, and 30 altogether. Lots of sales going on. I'd be really grateful if you used my affiliate links. As you know, I work really hard to have really helpful, practical sewing content for you. So if you do use my link, I really appreciate it. It's one of the ways I make an income doing all of this work on YouTube. For the fabric, Kenneth designed this jacket to be made with soft shell. That is the first recommendation with the fabrics. Soft shell is something you would find at outdoorsy shops like Columbia or North Face. I know I've had a lot of jackets made out of soft shell in the past. I've passed them all on to my mum now because it's just way too hot here to get the fabric. But my husband has a few jackets. You know, it's very soft here on the outside and it's fleece backed, but it's just one layer. It behaves like a woven, although it could have a little bit of give. Some do, some don't. Definitely vertically there's no give, but horizontally it might have a little bit of stretch. So it's like that, fleece backed. It's a fabric that doesn't press really well. That's why all the seams are edge stitched. These are all edge stitched. So you might have seen it around. I know in the testing group, almost everyone found soft shell to buy in different countries. I can't find it for the life of me. I looked everywhere. There is no way I'm gonna buy a soft shell here in Brazil. It's just, I can't. So I found an alternative. I even ran it past chemist first to make sure it was gonna be okay. I do know soft shell really well, so I know the weight, how it feels, how it behaves, and I found something that's a bit of an alternative in my stash. It's a type of double knit that has texture on it. Let me show you. This is a leftover. It's a really stable knit. It behaves just like the soft shell, very low stretch. That's how the right side looks. It's got all that texture and like roses. It looks like it's quilted, but it's not. And then on the other side, it's plain. And in between, there's like a little layer. It's just the most unusual fabric. But I thought it was gonna be perfect as a replacement for soft shell. Now you can use other fabrics. If you wanted to do this in a cotton twill or a denim or a linen, make sure you like the wrong side of the fabric, because sometimes it's visible, and this is an unlined jacket. So you have options. You have many options. I just chose this one and I think it turned out amazing. You also need some interfacing. You need a zipper, a long separating zipper, and not everyone's going to use the same length. There is a little chart in the pattern that tells you what length you need according to the size and the bust cup size that you're sewing. So I believe for my size, I needed a 31-inch zipper, and it'll be perfectly calculated to go exactly from here on the hood down to the hem. So have a look there. Remember, you can always have a longer zipper and trim it shorter. I think that's easier. You also need 2 zippers to put in here. Now, because I wanted my zippers to be exactly the same and to match, I sacrificed 3 jacket zippers for this jacket. I was going to use one, the long one, but the other 2 that I had that were the same, I just trimmed them shorter to fit this area right there. The zipper has to be made out of nylon with plastic teeth. Please don't use a metal zipper here, at least for this area. It would just change the whole technique and just make it more difficult if it had metal teeth. If you do have plastic teeth, you're able to sew over them with your needle. So just make sure it's not metal teeth that you're using for your zippers. The sizing goes from 00 to 40 US up to a 62-inch hip. There are sewing bust cup sizes from A through to double D. Remember, this is the difference between your high bust and your full bust. According to that, there's a little chart that you can see there. My difference is 3 inches, so I am a sewing C cup, and that's what I use for all of it to stitch patterns. The fit, it's not super oversized, it's not super fitted either. I don't think you can wear a really thick sweater underneath. Maybe just a turtleneck and your pants or whatever you're wearing underneath, that would be okay. Otherwise, it would end up being too fitted. So you would have 5 inches of space at the bust, about 6 to 6 around there at the waist, and then at the hips around 3. So make sure you take that into account. Now, if you live in extremely cold weather and you do want to wear something chunky underneath, I would suggest you go up a size. Because I live in hot climate and any layering does not happen, I just typically wear a cami underneath anything. I don't need to size up. I just made my size that corresponds to my measurements. At this point in time, 14 over here at the bust with the C cup, blended out to a 16 at the hips. Just a nice smooth curves on all the pieces. And that's all I needed to do with blending. Now, the princess seam. I always have to lower the curve of the princess seam. That is a given. I lowered mine by 1 inch. Don't get hung up on the fact that the piece looks different and it curves out like that. Don't think it's different. You do the same technique to move this up and down. Just forget what's coming underneath. It's the same thing, don't worry. So that was all I did. I did not make a test garment. I just know this is gonna fit me because I just know. I've been sewing this brand for so long and I know the block, you know, I really trust the drafting, and yeah, no test garment. So I have already shown you how to sew the zipper in a separate video that is already on the channel. You're gonna see a small summary of the sewing here. The full sew along for the Andy's jacket is on my Patreon page. Actually, it's been happening like right now. So as I'm uploading this for you, I'm uploading the final episode over there. It's a 4-part series on Patreon that takes you from the beginning to the end. So that's there. The whole pattern uses a 3/8 seam allowance. So let's see. This is the center front piece. This is where the princess seam is going to be, and this is the side front piece. When we put these together, we get the princess seam that comes from the shoulder. I've shown how to lower or raise the curves on princess seams before. It doesn't change just because after the curve we have a funny shape here. That doesn't change the technique that happens at the apex. In the original pattern, you're going to have 3 notches there to help match up these pieces. This one would be where the bust height is. I just lowered it empirically by 1 inch because it's something I know I need for all of each to stitch patterns. So it's not like I did flat pattern measurements or anything like that. It's just something I know that I need to do. If I don't do it, the fullest part of the princess seam would end up higher and I would get a tighter bust and bunching up here excess space. So I know. So I just cut out that rectangle and I push it down by 1 inch. You can see there is the paper where I pushed all of the curve down. And then over here, you get a little bit of a jagged area that you just smooth out to come back to the original shape over here. So it's as easy as that, it's nothing hard. And then over here where we have the 3 notches that we're gonna match this area, I did the same. I cut out the rectangle, I pushed it down by 1 inch, which is over here. And then when I join up these 2 pieces, all of these notches are gonna match right there. The curve where the fullest part of the bust was drafted to be is just 1 inch lower, and that's it. That's the only fitting adjustment I'm making to this jacket. Because my fabric has slight stretch both vertically and horizontally, I do want to add some interfacing to the center fronts for the zipper later. If my fabric had 0 stretch vertically and only a little bit of give horizontally, then I wouldn't think this is important, and that would be the case with soft shell. If you've touched soft shell, it won't stretch at all up and down, so you wouldn't really need interfacing there. But because my fabric does, I am going to add. So I've got my piece here and I'm doing modified block fusing. So this is my big front piece. I've decided I'm going to interface about 5/8 of an inch beyond the center front there. That's the amount I want stabilized to put that zipper in. It could be 1 inch, it could be 3/4. The thing about interfacing too much is that sometimes it would be visible on the other side. Once you're done with the zipper, you'd have an excess of interfacing there. In this case, I don't want that to be visible here because it's not a lined jacket. I folded that away, the amount that I want, about 5/8. I've drawn a line right here. There is my line all the way here, and I've drawn with the tracing paper the same line on the other side. So I want to interface from this line this way. I've left a bit of extra fabric at the bottom and the same at the top, so just to allow shrinkage that way. And then after the interfacing is on, and then I'm going to cut it, extend this paper, and then finish cutting along there, and I will have a little bit interfaced. This is very light interfacing. You can see it's almost transparent, it's fusible, it's non-stretch. I made sure to cut it really straight, and now I'm just going to align the edge of my interfacing to the edge of this line here. If I was making this jacket with a wool or a linen or some type of other woven, I would still interface this. I think a zipper does need interfacing no matter what the fabric. I think the exception would be soft shell though, because it's just a different type of fabric. I think whenever you have a project that has interfacing, it just lengthens this process, the initial preparations process. But it's something to take seriously and give it the time it deserves, because if you don't get this interfacing stuff right, then the chances are your jacket's not going to look very nice in the end. Okay, so that's on both sides. Now I can finish trimming away. This is part of the front piece, and this area will have a pocket later. It's a zipper pocket, and you'll see a dot there and a dot there. Between those dots we need to interface. I'm going to lose those marks probably, so I'm just going to put a pin here on the edge that I can remove and mark them again once the interfacing is on. And I've cut strips of interfacing that are 1 inch wide. That's what the pattern recommends. I always touch to make sure I get the glue side down. I'm going to go slightly over the marks, just like about 1/4 inch. So now this is nice and stable. I can still see my pins there. I just use this yellow coloring pencil, and I have a little lid that I fill up with water, and I just dip it in 1 second, and it's enough to get me a dot here that's going to last for the length of the project. And it's not going to come out like chalk, and it's easy for you to see. So there are my marks again, and then I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the side that's underneath. Here are the 2 front pieces. You have already seen this one. I decided to interface this area because my fabric has a bit of give. I don't want to sew a zip onto an unstable fabric where the result might end up wavy. Also, that area where the pocket is going to be is interfaced. This is the side front piece. There are 3 little marks here to join up the princess seams right there. It's a modified type of princess seam that comes from the shoulder. As you can see, that's where that volume was taken up in the drafting. So it's going to fit amazing. Now over here we have pocket lining pieces. They can be made with other fabrics. You don't need the main fabric for that, and it can be a light woven. I think it's going to look pretty on the inside. Remember, this is an unlined jacket. I really wanted the pocket lining to be something pretty that matches. Now my lining is the same on both sides, so I made sure to mark lines on the wrong side. This is the wrong side for me. I've also got little marks here, so I'm not going to get confused which is the right and the wrong side of my pocket linings there. Finish the hems at the bottom because it's curved at the back. We have facings. So this is one front facing here. I've already pinned them together to the back. And you're going to see that you're going to have one straight edge right here. That is the center. This area is also going to be part of the zipper construction, so I wanted this area to have zero stretch, just the same as this. So just this little piece has non-stretch interfacing. The rest here for the facings has the tricot knit interfacing. I've marked an arrow there to signify that that's how the facing goes. This has a little bit of a shape right there on the side that matches the back. The back is one piece. You can see how curved that is. And then here it's pinned to the other side of the front right there. That's the side also that doesn't stretch at all. There it is, all extended. It's going to have the full circumference of the bottom of the jacket. And I'm glad there's a facing for this jacket because there's nothing worse than having a curved shape and just trying to hem it like normal. I think the best result is always going to be with a facing that follows the shape. So I'm happy that this feature is there in this pattern. Depending on the size and cup size that you're sewing, you're going to choose the length of your zipper. There's a chart for that in the pattern instructions. As usual, I have about 100 zippers in all colors, but I did not have one in black in the length required here. The only one I could find was this one. These are actually plastic teeth. They look like silver from far away. I'm going to sacrifice my other zippers that are exactly the same and just cut them short to the length that I want right there so that all of the zippers can match. I would be really upset if this zipper was like this and then the other ones were just plain black and didn't have the same color zipper teeth. And because I'm going to make an effort in this jacket, I'm totally okay with cutting these zippers short. I bought these years ago from a remnant bin. They did not cost much, so I'm not going to cry over cutting these long zippers short if I can get a nice looking jacket to match. Remember, it's always okay to have a zipper that's longer than what you need because you can always trim it, but it can't be shorter. These are the top pieces for the back. It's a type of princess seam that comes from the shoulder. And then these are the bottom pieces for the back. These are the seams we sew first. This one there, that one there, and then we're going to sew this horizontal seam uniting all of this. It's going to look curved, it's pretty, it's got shaping. You can see there are darts incorporated into the seam lines. You can see that there's going to be a curved hem at the bottom. These center pieces are on the fold. These are the pieces for the sleeve. Now, this has a slight curve. There is some shape going on here, and it's going to look pretty. So I'm happy that this is here. It's just different to what you usually do. Once these two pieces are sewn together, then the sleeve will act as a regular sleeve, and then you will just put it in like normal. Here are the pieces for the hood. Over here are the pieces that are cut from the main fabric. There's a center piece and the two side pieces. That is the facing that's going to finish this edge of the hood. This facing is interfaced. I'll show you something about that in a sec. And then from the same pattern pieces, we cut lining pieces. It can be a woven. I've chosen a really lightweight cotton. It's beautiful. It's the same on both sides. Checks, and it's tiny checks. That's why I like it. Now, this facing is supposed to be interfaced. As usual, I did block fusing like I do with all the projects, which meant I cut a larger piece, interfaced it, and then I cut this out. I forgot to film that, but you've seen me do that before. And this area here, this straight edge, is going to go along that straight edge there. The zipper is going to be in here partially. That's why I want this area to have non-stretch interfacing as well. But the rest is with tricot knit interfacing so that it also has the same amount of give that the fabric has. I really don't want to have a facing that's done with non-stretch interfacing to be sewn into something that does have a bit of give there. So that was my work around that to get a stable area for the zipper that's going to be in this area right there. This center piece has a straight edge and an edge that's slightly narrower and curved. That is the area that's going to be on the neckline. Here is my Andes jacket. This is the fabric. It's gorgeous. Here is the princess seam that comes from the shoulder, and then it curves and then comes out to the waist. There is a zipper pocket right there. Super nice. You can see the zipper is the same as the one over here. I really wanted them to match. I would have been very unhappy if they didn't. So I wasn't sad about cutting, these zippers that were super long, just cutting them short. No worries. I'm happy to do that. And it starts right here from the hood and goes down all the way to the hem. At the back, we have side pieces and a center piece. There's a top section and a bottom section, and there's a horizontal seam here that's slightly curved as well. You can see that there's a curve here on the seam of the sleeve. It was very easy to set in, very, very easy. There's not much extra ease on the cap, so it was no stress there. Simple hem. And then the hood is over here. It's a 3-piece hood. There's a center piece and side pieces. It's lined with a cotton with checks. That's what I've chosen in there. And there's a facing inside that's top stitched. Now, if you wanted to, you could have done a grommet and a drawstring over here on the facing. To be honest, am I gonna wear this and like need to close it up because it's cold? No. So I didn't do it. I'm very happy I had a matching serger thread that was exactly the same color. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. There's something that I didn't finish, but I'll go and finish it. I just did not realize. I haven't serged one of the sleeves. So I've just sewn it and I didn't serge it. But I did the other side. Oh my gosh, what a huge oversight. But anyway, nothing that can't be done now. So you can't really see the serger thread because it's all the same color inside. Because the hood is lined, it encloses the seam of the neckline, so that's really neat. All the seams here, you can see them on the inside, that one that's curved right there. And at the bottom we have the facings, super neat. They follow the shape of the curve over here. And then we have the zipper here in the front. Now if you wanted to, you could add something extra like sewing on some tape to cover the zipper. I do have a video showing you how to do that. If you wanted to do that, you can add that to any jacket if you want to. I didn't do it this time. It wasn't part of the pattern, but it is something that you could do. So I'll leave you a link where I show that in case you wanted to try and do that. There is the curve of the sleeve right there. It fits so well. It's just so nice. And I'm promising you it was way easier to sew than what it looks like. I'm very happy. So you see it styled a more dressed up way and a more casual way. Although you know my casual ways are never that casual, but it's my style of casual, so let's see. This is my Andes jacket from Itch to Stitch. This is a size 14 with a C cup and then blended out to a 16 at the hips. The fabric is very unusual. It is not soft shell, which is the recommended fabric, but it sort of behaves like it. Same weight, same hand. This is a double knit, very stable, and up closer you'll see it has some texture. It's very unusual. It's a mystery knit. I don't really know what the composition is, but I felt it was really appropriate for this jacket. Sort of mid-thigh length, longer in the back with a curved hem. I've got it open here, and on one of the seams in the front we have these amazing zipper pockets. It's unlined. This is a winter look for me with a long black knit skirt and boots, fun little scarf and a little matching bag. Here is a closer look. Longer curved hem. The hems inside are finished with a facing, so it's super neat. Maybe you can see it in there. It's the same fabric, same color, it's interfaced, and we have a long zipper here in the center. This is a different princess seam. It comes from here and then it curves out to the side seam there. And on this seam is where we have the zipper pocket, which is super fun to sew and not hard at all. Very neat. Look at my pocket lining fabric. It's really cool. That's how it looks like on the inside. Remember, this is unlined, so whatever lining you use, you need to like. When I turn, you'll see it zipped up. Shaping is really good with all the pieces we have here. The princess seams are amazing, and I think the ease is just right. It's not too much, it's not too little for a layer underneath. I just have a light layer underneath. That's how it looks up closer. Princess seams comes from the shoulder and then curves over here into that seam. At the back we have several seams as well that incorporate a dart, so the shaping is amazing. Here's a closer look at the top area. Here is the princess seam. It comes from here, and this is a C-cup curve right there. I think the fit is perfect. All I did for my own fitting was drop the curve by 1 inch, just lower the apex. Shoulder fit is good. Sleeves, the length is perfect. At the back I'm going to lift the hood so you can see the seams. Lots of seams at the back, really pretty, all edge stitched. Great shaping at the back. And over here, when you zip this up, it includes the top part of the hood right there. How the top part looks. I have the hood not on, but I'll put it on. You zip it up and this includes the hood right there. Very nice. Get this hair out of the way. That is how the hood looks like on. It's really nice and closed here. If you want, you can put a grommet inside and then have a drawstring. This is finished with a facing inside, and on the inside of the hood I have that same pretty cotton. That's how that looks. and there's a facing right there that finishes all the edge of the hood. Super easy, and it encloses the seam, which makes it look super neat. I'm wearing the jacket closed so you can see how it fits closed, all the shaping, all of that. I think it's amazing. But as usual, I would probably always wear this open because it's just more comfortable that way. There's more options for styling as well. So you can actually see what I'm wearing underneath. So I kept it simple this time with just black things underneath so you can see the actual jacket. I think it's amazing. If you can find soft shell, go for it. I am the one that will never find it over here in Brazil. So I think this was a great little alternative. This is a more casual look with jeans and just a navy cami underneath, a colorful scarf and a navy bag. I like purple and navy together. The same as I like purple and green together, as you saw before. I really love purple and I think it can go with a lot of colors. So this is just more laid back. As usual, I would wear it open and just enjoy the jacket. I can't wait to wear it next to you when it gets cold. I hope someday I can find some soft shell. Maybe someday I'll be able to get some from another country when my husband travels or something. I don't lose hope, and I'd love, love, love to make one for my mum because she does really use my soft shell jackets. But all of my older jackets are sort of shorter, and this is long. It would keep her really warm. And winter in Chile is frozen. It's so, so cold. There's no snow, but it's super, super, super cold. So I'd love to do that for her if I get my hands on soft shell someday. Really, 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 really enjoyed it. I think it's worth your time, and the fit is also super worth it. I mean, the fit I think is outstanding with the princess seams and all the shaping you get from all the pieces. It's a really fun sew. So as always, I recommend, don't forget to check out the Black Friday sale at It's to Stitch. Goes through Monday the 27th. All the links are gonna be in the description box. All the other brands are having sales as well that I know of. You can always find everything super easily in the comment sections right at the top. That's all from me. I'll see you again very soon with more sewing. Bye.